And good morning to you all, and welcome to the starting lineup. Great to have you with us on an absolutely beautiful and cooler Monday morning. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And for the next 2 hours, Art Haynes will be with us in a couple, about an hour from now. And for the next 2 hours, we are right here talking sports and whatever, and I'd like to hear from you on our line at 417-447-1021. It's both text and phone, 447-1021. Starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports in the Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield. Everything you want on the world of athletics right there at Play It Again Sports, including some great trade-in values. Brought to you by Citizens Bank of Rogersville with two routes. That's what they call their branches, routes. One is adjacent to Highland Springs, and the other is in Rogersville itself. Brought to you by Swing Right Golf. Down on South Campbell, a little bit north of Nixa, and indeed great opportunities for you. They have the simulator inside to practice your golf swing. They have the outdoor batting cages, everything. It's a great place to hang out and relax a little bit and hone that golf swing of yours at Swing Right Golf. And by Marshfield Chevrolet at the I-44 exit, couple of left turns, and you're right there at Marshfield Chevrolet. Might have been hot this weekend, but I'll tell you, we had some very hot sporting events going on.
We did, and this cold since I got back from Florida just finally kicked my butt Saturday. And it was, I made the educated decision that it was 98 outside and the Cardinals were on and the Chiefs were on. It might be a good afternoon to stay in on the couch. And I picked a good one with the Joshua Baez historic day, and I actually spent more time watching it than I did the Chiefs game.
Well, you mean to tell me you didn't watch any of the golf?
A little bit. It was on a little bit earlier this weekend, so I got to watch, part of it Saturday, and then Sunday when Scotty started running away, I lost interest.
Well, he did too. That was a phenomenal performance.
But it was a good day, a good Saturday, and Sunday too. It was so hot out that it was good TV sports on the couch. And T-Bear, it's rare that he texts me and gets excited. But he texted me over the Kyle Larson thing Saturday night.
That's a great story.
Yeah, for those who missed it, and we'll have him on tomorrow in his usual spot to talk about it. But Kyle Larson raced at Richmond, finished sixth, I think, in that one.
And keep in mind now that he began his career and loves dirt track racing.
Yeah, sprint cars, and he had qualified in a big event in Iowa.
It's Knoxville.
Yeah, well, I got thrown off by the Knoxville thing because I kept thinking, Richmond and Knoxville, not very far. Well, it's Knoxville in Iowa.
It's a little bit north of Des Moines.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And so he had qualified. It's like one of the signature events.
I think it is the signature.
Yeah, and been going forever. Well, he wasn't going to get to race in it because the NASCAR race was Saturday night, the Cup race in Richmond. Well, they had enough rain in Iowa that it delayed the start in Knoxville, Iowa, that he was able to race in Richmond, jump on a plane, and fly to Iowa and then win the event in Iowa.
4 hours after he finished at Richmond. Now, you have to think the stars were aligned perfectly. The race in Knoxville was held up because of rain. Mm-hmm. So about midway through, maybe even a little bit more than midway through the Richmond race, his radio crew gets on and said, hey, they haven't even started the hot laps yet in Iowa. We can make it. And I think he probably said, well, let's go for it then. And he wins. And you know what the first prize in that?
It was $200,000.
$200,000, yeah.
It was the 65th Knoxville Nationals, so a long-standing, very prestigious race there. He won it for the fourth time in 6 years, and he was 1,100 miles away, finishing sixth in NASCAR and then getting to Iowa. So that was
what is really curious about that too, Scott, is during the time he's running in Richmond, they had to somebody on his crew determined, hey, we can make this thing. They rented the plane, jet plane. It had to be a jet plane, of course, and had that all standing by and ready to go. And hey, off they went. I doubt very much. I don't know this for a fact. Nobody does except him. I doubt that he even changed clothes. He stayed right in that racing
Probably
uniform.
not. I'm sure the plane may have had a shower on it or something and was able to do that. But, probably something you or I couldn't do. We probably wouldn't have access to the charter plane and waiting on the runway for us there. But pretty amazing story. But, from a baseball standpoint and sports standpoint, what Joshua Baez did Saturday has never been equaled. 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats. That's part of our Starting five, of course, our lineup today, we're going to have Chris Parker on at 7:30 with the Ozone. Going to talk a couple more high school football conference previews there. 8 o'clock open hour. Our open segment, going to visit with Art Haynes about the top stories over the weekend, get his thoughts. And then 8:30, Scott Nasby, the Drury baseball coach, just finished a trip to the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica. It was a family trip, but it was also a baseball trip as he learned more about the culture over there, and I thought that was pretty fitting to have him on this morning after what Joshua Baez did. Of course, a Dominican Republic product did on Saturday, which was phenomenal.
Well, Baez of course, he played here. He played with the Springfield Cardinals last year and had a big year, promoted to Memphis probably, I want to say in mid-July last year, maybe a little bit later on than that. But he finished the year in Memphis. Mm-hmm. This is last year. Had about, I'm going to guess maybe 20 or 21 home runs down here for the Springfield Cardinals. But you knew then watching him, he is young, but he's not physically a kid. He is a man. And anybody who saw him play knew fully well he was going to be pretty good. Now, he did go 0 for 5 on Sunday, but be that as it may, this kid's a pretty good player. And there's no question about the fact that if he can maintain a good attitude, and I think he will, he's going to be, he'll be a star now. Is he another Albert Pujols? Well, we'll have to wait and see. About 10 years from now, we should have some kind of a determination as to what he's going to do. Now, you're talking about him being Dominican. He really is a product of Boston, and he was, the Massachusetts Player of the Year and all that sort of thing in high school. So you're thinking, wait a minute, if he's a Massachusetts Player of the Year, where are the colleges? Well, they were there, folks. He committed to Vanderbilt. He was going to go to Vanderbilt, and along came the Cardinals with, a several $1 million offer. And he did sign with them, and you can't blame him for that. But he was not an unknown at all coming into this game.
Has 37 homers on the year now, 34 at Memphis, and the 3 hit on Saturday for the Cardinals. And if you watched it, first pitch he saw as a major leaguer, he deposited well over the center field.
His first pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. First pitch. First pitch as a major leaguer, he hits it over the field and over the fence and center deep. I think it was 459 or 449, something like that. Second at bat, he pulls one down the line, home run to left, and then his third at bat, opposite field. So center, left, right, which is a popular game we play with dice and beer. I don't know if you've ever played that or not, but Joshua Baez did his own version of left, right, center there. But, phenomenal display. And you mentioned 0 for 5 yesterday. That's what you're going to get with Joshua Baez. You're going to get some 0 for 5s, but you're going to get 3 homer games. And you're going to get – the thing he hasn't done yet is he stole 54 bases last year. And I think he had 21 at Memphis this year. He's a guy with speed as well. So a much-needed energy boost to that offense. It was kind of, treading water a little bit here the last week or so, not having the explosive games. But all of a sudden Joshua Baez comes up and you get beat Friday night 3-0, and then your offense kind of takes off the next 2 days. So it'd be interesting to see him batting behind Jordan Walker. That's a great with what Alec Burleson's doing. With what Weatherholt does at the top of the lineup, that's an exciting first 5 in that order.
And at yesterday, and watching a little bit of the game yesterday, I thought, they're back in a groove again, a groove that existed earlier in the year where everything that bounced the right way. Case in point was Weatherholt. Leads off the game with a looper down the left field line that bounces into the stands for a ground rule double. And here's Burleson coming up, and he shells one out, and here's Jordan Walker, and he blasts one. They're back in their hitting groove again. If they can maintain that, do have a doubleheader today. If they can maintain that, who knows? They could crack the wild card.
Still worry about their pitching in a wild card series. Just do they have enough of it? But even if they could just get a taste of the postseason this year, and we mentioned their first 5 in the order, very, very exciting and promising. They got to figure out 6 through 9 now, and the rest of it that guys that can hit. And Mason Wynn's bat shows promise here and there, and they've got to figure out who those other guys are going to be down at the bottom third of the order as well. But yeah, historic day, and like I was telling Ned before we went on, I intended to watch the Chiefs preseason game and then flip over on the Cardinals. It wound up in reverse. I kept waiting for Baez to come up again, and I was, by the way, let's go check the Chiefs, because the Chiefs-Rams game was not a thing of beauty. It wasn't 9-6 for the longest time there, field goals and there were some positives out of that, and we'll talk about those as well. But the Cardinals take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. As Ned mentioned, they've got a doubleheader today in Cincinnati, 5 games in 4 days in Cincinnati, and then they head to Philadelphia on the weekend. So another big week for St. Louis. And with the Reds, and they've been very spotty. They've had injury problems. Hunter Green's out for this year and probably next. It's a good time to go in there and try to get 3 or 4 wins from a struggling Reds
team. They can get 4 wins in a 5-game series. They'll do very well.
Absolutely. So Royals beat the Angels 7-6 on Friday. They lose 1-0 to Reed Detmers, who strikes out 11 on Saturday. And then they take the series 2 out of 3 with a 3-0 win yesterday. Noah Cameron pitched a 1-hitter. Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Massey with home runs. Cameron struck out 8, walked 1 through 115 pitches.
Goes the distance.
Yeah, and 115 pitches, 5-10 years ago, you wouldn't have batted an eye at it, but now you're going, oh my gosh, his mom's going to be calling pretty soon about overload on the arm there. But gave up only a Vaughn Grissom single in the 7th, so the Royals take 2 out of 3, as they should, from the struggling Angels there. So KC's got the Athletics coming to town this week, starting today. Michael Wacha against Mason Barnett tonight, first of 4 between those two before Detroit comes in Friday through Sunday as well. Let's talk Springfield Cardinals, and then we'll wrap up the rest of it after the first break. But Springfield Cardinals, they had the loss last night, 6-5, I believe was the final there, for a 3-3 split of their series of the 6 games with Northwest Arkansas over at Route 66 Stadium. Came from 7 down on Friday night to win 9-8, and then got blanked 3-0 on Saturday. So snapped their 3-game winning streak there. But they go to Little Rock today, open up tomorrow, 6-game set with the Travelers. Springfield Cardinals now tied with Tulsa at 27-18 for the second-half lead. But those two have kind of distinguished themselves. The third-place team right now in the second half, Wichita and Arkansas, are each tied. They're 7 games back. So probably looking like a Springfield-Tulsa playoff series.
And I think that's probably what's going to happen. Last night's game, I found this to be very curious. Not a meteorologist, don't even pretend to be one, but I don't live too very far away from Hammondsfield yet. That game from Route 66 Stadium, I don't live too far away, and yet their game was held up because of rain for better than an hour, and I didn't have any at my house.
Yeah, we actually were at the pool at Fremont with my grandsons and son and daughter-in-law. And it started sprinkling right when we left, about 6:15.
Really, did it?
Yeah, and then it started raining, and we got quite a bit of Nixa there for a little downpour. But I think it was hit or miss, like it is everywhere.
Yeah,
but
it missed me.
you could see it forming over Springfield as we were looking off to the north there. So, Raniel Rodriguez continues to hit, getting 2 or 3 hits a game. It'll be interesting to see if they let him play out September with Springfield or if he goes up to Memphis.
At this point, since we're midway through August, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Cardinals don't say, let him stay down there, help him with the playoffs and so forth, because after all, that's the same kind of atmosphere you're going to get elsewhere as well. So, hey, why not do that? He's a good player.
I hadn't checked. They're Memphis is 20-25 in the International League West second half. So they won the first half title, so they're in the playoffs too. I didn't realize that. So that'll be an interesting decision. Do you help your AAA team in the playoffs, or do you?
Yeah, but he's been down here.
Yeah, and it'd be a big jump. He started the year in A-ball and has come up and done nothing but hit. So that's not a good 20. When I say 20-25, second half for the Redbirds. So, kind of taking the opposite path of Springfield, which has been much better in the second half, too.
Look on there and see whether or not the Cardinals make any change in their pitching. This is the big Cardinals now. Make any change in their pitching and bring anybody up for this doubleheader today. Incidentally, it's a day-night doubleheader. And, of course, it's heard right here at 102.1, and you'll hear the first games begin shortly after noontime, maybe about 12:30, somewhere around there.
It's got Quinn Matthews listed as a starter.
So he's been brought up.
And undecided for the Reds, and that's the 12:40 game. And then in the night game, they have listed Palante and Rhett Lauder for Cincinnati.
What time do they have that night game scheduled?
Got it scheduled at 5:40.
Okay.
It's a little day-night doubleheader there. So let's take a break. We got lots more to get to after this.
This is the starting lineup. Great to have you with us. Back in a second. And we are into the starting five on the starting lineup, so if you will, continue.
Yeah, one other baseball note. Baseball Bears get a verbal commitment over the weekend from Rowan Johnson, the catcher at Nixa, the outstanding senior-to-be 2027 class. And so that's a good one for Missouri State and Joey Hawkins to get there as a start to their upcoming class. Should be a big year for the baseball Bears, too.
We haven't had a decision yet on 2022, have we?
No, we haven't. And you know, honestly, and I get it, it would be nice to have some of those guys back, but just for continuity and things like that, I think they're better off just going with what they brought in and what they got back with Curry Sutherland and Max Knight and see what they can do. There was one place I saw that had them predicted as a College World Series participant, which is
for next year?
Yeah, for next year, which is ambitious, you know, because, I mean, the 1 year the Bears have ever gone, they didn't even think they were going to the tournament, NCAA tournament, and got all the way to Omaha back in 2002? 2003. I get my years wrong there because 2003 was the World Series, 2004 was the first year at Hammons Field, 2005 first year Springfield Cardinals.
Yeah, a lot of folks forget that. The Bears were the first ones to play at Hammons Field.
9,000 plus that first night.
You and I were there.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Perger, you probably don't have it, but I have a picture of you, me, and John.
Yeah, I think I still do.
Same one.
Yeah, and it was I think 9,100. Was it Southern Illinois?
It was SIU.
Yeah.
And they won the game.
Yeah,
Salukis won the game, and it got 91. Is that what they call the crowd?
9,100, I think.
It was huge. I know that.
I remember because for those who are listening that are younger than 30, which probably none of you, this thing that was called a newspaper back then, it's a piece of paper that had scores and stories and all that. We actually put out a newsletter post-game edition, and
I remember it.
Yeah, and had people handing it out to people coming out of the stadium, and I still have that cover hanging up on our wall in the basement there too. So, I mentioned the Chiefs. They had a 20-12 loss to the Rams in the preseason opener on Saturday. Not a thing of beauty. A preseason game though, you're watching young guys to see how they respond, and I thought Garrett Nussmeier looks like he's got a lot of promise. You know, the former LSU quarterback is a guy that is probably their third guy behind Justin Fields, who didn't play much. But they definitely don't want to get Justin Fields hurt in the preseason because then you have to play Nussmeier if anything happened to Mahomes. But Nussmeier looked good. Emmett Johnson looked solid at running back, the rookie from Nebraska. Cyrus the Virus Allen, the receiver. I think Matt Derrick said Friday they need to put him in bubble wrap because I think he could be a contributor. Just kind of, you know.
I'm a little surprised that he played too because he was out many of the drills with a shoulder injury of some sort, but they did get him in there.
The one who shut a lot of people up in that game was Ty Simpson, the rookie quarterback from Bama. He goes 21 of 25 for 190 yards and 2 TDs. He was the surprise first-round pick by the Rams when a lot of people thought they might find somebody that could help them now. And obviously he's going to sit behind Matthew Stafford, but showed a lot of promise in that one.
More than that, the guy's pretty good. Of course, you have to understand now, he has the history of Alabama. Same with Nussmeier, history at LSU. Big crowds, and the crowd at Arrowhead Stadium was nowhere near what they were accustomed to because there's a lot fewer people. But they're accustomed to playing before 100,000 people and the cheering and all the emotions that go into that. So Nussmeier playing well, and Simpson, he was a star player, and Alabama was pretty good, but he wasn't what Alabama had in the past. He comes on and I thought played very intelligent and bright football. He'll be a big help to them.
He will, and of course you and I were talking in the break that you can't take a lot away from this because it's competing against other guys that are probably a lot of them not going to be on those rosters too. You know, when the lights come on against the starters, let's see what you got. And he won't see that well, if he does see it, it's a problem because that means that Matthew Stafford got hurt.
Correct.
And I'm not sure who is their backup to Stafford. Who started the game for the Rams?
No, Lance is with the Chargers, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't see the start because I was watching the Joshua Baez fiasco over there too. So Some other NFL notes from preseason week 1. Deshaun Watson actually looked pretty good for a guy that's not really played meaningful snaps in forever.
How much did Shedeur Sanders play?
He played after Watson. He was just okay. I think Watson really solidified. Watson went 11 of 15 for 126 yards, led their only a TD drive of the game there. So I think they've got to figure out financially what they have in Deshaun Watson because they're on the hook for so much money with him. They better try to get something out of it.
I saw a tiny little bit of that game. Did the Browns end up winning it?
The Bears won.
The Bears won.
34-10 was the final there. But and then we've talked about the people that are betting these preseason games.
No,
just go get a 12-pack of beer and sit down and drink yourself into sleep or something. But Vikings, they lose veteran Jamal Adams, this linebacker safety kind of hybrid guy, out for the season with a knee injury. That's a big loss for them. They had just signed him as a free agent. Jeremiah Love, it's been diagnosed now that he has a high ankle sprain. He's the former Notre Dame star that is a rookie running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Usually those high ankle sprains take several weeks, especially for a running back. But they're hopeful he's ready for week 1. That would be pretty ambitious, I would think.
It would be, but Love is a really tough guy. He's a St. Louis kid. Mm-hmm. He's a tough guy and certainly took his share of hits at Notre Dame as well. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him play in the opener.
And the Cowboys are signing Von Miller. He's 37 years old now, the former All-Pro linebacker, mostly with the Broncos. Played with the Commanders last year. Actually had 9 sacks last year at 36 years old.
What year is this for him in the NFL?
Ooh, it's gotta
16, 15?
Yeah, it's got to be 15 plus there. But a guy can still play, and you're adding him to a much improved Dallas defense down there. I heard a note from the Vison guys coming in. Jackson Dart had to go to the concussion tent to be checked out, which is never a good thing in preseason that your quarterback. Tyrone Tracy whiffed on a blitz block. And that's the kind of thing that'll get you cut if you're a running back. Yep. Because your franchise quarterback somebody gets a clean shot on him. Dart was checked out okay, came back in the game actually, but that kid is so talented. They've got to figure out a way to keep him from getting hit. And I know that there was a point, was it a preseason scrimmage maybe or something, where Dart took off and actually went into the quarterback slide, and all his teammates cheered. It's like, please do that more often, instead, because he's one of those guys. He's kind of like Baker Mayfield. And Baker, and by the way, I know you don't have Netflix, but the quarterback series that Peyton Manning's done, excellent. I like it better than Hard Knocks actually now. But Baker, Cam Ward, Jaden Daniels, number 5. Let's get it clear, number 5, Jaden Daniels. And Joe Flacco are the 4 that it takes you behind the scenes with their life and everything.
Do they do a pretty good job?
They do a really good job. You get to see their families and their kids and what the pressure it's on those guys. But Baker, just watching the highlights of how reckless he is sometimes running, and then when he hurt his shoulder back in Cleveland, he'd just thrown an interception and he jumps in there trying to make the tackle and gets goes down and dislocates his shoulder. That's the kind of thing with Jackson Dart. If you're a Giants fan, you're like, if you throw an interception, just go ahead and run off the field. Yeah, you don't have to bring the guy down. Just go off the field because he's very talented, and they got to have him up.
Well, is the Oklahoma psychology one that, hey, you threw the interception, you better get that guy, right?
I don't think. I think it's the Baker psychology. He thinks he's invincible. But anyway, if they have Dart, they're going to be really good because I understand Malik Neighbors is going to be, back to full strength maybe quicker than they thought he would too. So, more NFL week 2 coming up this week. We'll talk more about that later in the week. Missouri State football had a 125-play scrimmage on Saturday night. Coach Casey Woods actually had his team go over to Evangel and dress in their locker room, warm up on the Evangel practice field, and then bus over to Plaster to for a 6:00 start to prep for what the environment will be like at Kyle Field. Now, I will add that there will be 108,000 people at Kyle Field that weren't at Evangel. But anyway, it's kind of neat that he did that to kind of replicate what
that is interesting. Now, he gets it. Being at Southern Methodist, he knows fully well what to expect. And you're right. It'll be a massive crowd at Kyle Field. I don't think 108 because it's 104. I think it is.
Is it? I know it's
one of the biggest.
I think and it may be the biggest now because they've expanded a couple times. But
biggest maybe as far as Texas is concerned. But no. Bryant Denny is big.
102,733.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, they'll have more than that in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a very good idea to get the kids used to it and bussing over. And, hey, that's what it's all about. But over and above all that, he wants to keep them healthy. Who's going to do the preview or review of the scrimmage?
What do you mean?
Are we having Riggs?
Well, Corey's got a procedure tomorrow. Tom Mass is going to join us tomorrow to talk about it. He was there as well. But Ryan Collingwood did an excellent job with his recap of that. In the Citizen, and some of the notes there that took away that Skyler Locklear, the UTEP transfer, got the majority of first-team snaps.
Really?
Which is interesting because somebody tweeted out that Henry Beelan was going to be the starter, which apparently looks very jumping the gun-ish there because Beelan played fewer snaps. According to Casey Woods, Beelan's had some shoulder soreness, so he wasn't he was held back a little bit by that as well. But
did it mention anything about any injuries?
Did not, no. But Locklear, there were some guys that were held out precautionary, but no injuries during the scrimmage. But, two totally different types of quarterbacks. Locklear's your 5'11", feisty, quick, elusive, tuck it and go guy. And Beelan's more your 6'3", 230-pound pocket passer. And so a chance to get a look at both of them. And Casey Wood said afterward they still don't have a starter yet name because nobody has really separated themselves from the pack in this case as well. So Breezy Dubar, the Boise State transfer running back who's listed as a co-starter with Ramon Green Jr. out of Nixa, didn't play for precautionary reasons. I think he's had a history of some bumps and bruises, and they wanted to keep him clean. Fifth-year senior Connor Lair out of West Plains is definitely their goal line back. He got a touchdown run, 6'1", 230, battering ram down there inside. Jamari A. Robinson, the returning receiver, had a 56-yard catch, also on a double pass, a 40-yard TD pass there as well. So very clear that he's probably going to be their guy on offense, at least the one that opponents will remember there. But I think the defense shined from what Ryan said throughout the report, that offense couldn't score a TD in 4 red zone tries against the first-team defense. That defense has 7 of their 11 starters back from last year, or at least 7 guys who played significant minutes, including J.J. O'Neal, the safety from Rogersville, Jared Bird Lloyd, the linebacker, Cooper Roy, Caden Weiss, Kellen Lindstrom, all big parts of that defensive rotation. So, you want to come out of these things with a better feel for what you have and to keep everybody healthy, and it sounds like they did that.
So this is August the 15th that this scrimmage was held. That means they have another, 15, 17, 20 days, another 20 days until their first game. So certainly there are going to be some more scrimmages before that.
I would think so, and they got to figure out who that starter is going to be at Kyle Field. By the way, I was curious after you said, so Michigan 107.6 capacity, Penn State 106.3, Ohio Stadium for the Buckeyes 102. Kyle Field 4th on that list.
And the Bristol Motor Speedway 156,000.
Yeah, and then LSU is 5th on the top 5 largest capacities there for college stadiums. A few other notes here before we get to Chris Parker after the break. We mentioned Scotty Scheffler. He does run off and win the FedEx St. Jude's Classic by 8 shots heading into Belle Reve this week for the BMW Championship. They've cut down to the top 50 now for the BMW. It should be fun.
I'm anxious to see how well he plays. He walks through the course on Sunday. It's kind of a stroll out there in 100-degree heat, but he really wasn't pressured. His play, what solidified it for me was when the ball, he's in the sand trap, and his ball comes out of the sand trap and hits the sprinkler head and bounces all the way into the water. I thought, this is going to be tough. Comes back and makes 5 birdies after that.
He did, and what helped that was Sam Burns, I think, made double, playing with him on the same hole, so it took a little pressure off. But, yeah, he hit a sand wedge. It hit and it just ricocheted off the sprinkler head and rolled right down into the creek at Greenside. Scotty makes bogey, doesn't even faze him. He goes on and wins by 8 shots.
Tell you what, now we have a segment in the show coming up at 8 o'clock, and we can discuss this a little more, but we do need to mention the passing of Tommy John.
Yeah, that's here on my list, too, at 83 years old. He had sent out a basically a goodbye note through the Yankees here about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago. But Tommy John passes away at age 83. Of course, the guy who has the infamous Tommy John surgery named after him back on September 25th, 1974. They replaced his torn UCL with a tendon from his wrist, and so that became a very popular thing that's still today. Is that the only one that has a surgery that's named after a person?
You know what? I can't think of any other.
Yeah. So we touched on the Richmond race. Joey Logano wins the Cookout 400. We talked about Kyle Larson, what he did. Chase Briscoe was second there. NASCAR moves on to New Hampshire for the Dollar Tree 301 this week. And I know T-Bear's probably already got a clock countdown right now to talk about the Kyle Larson stuff yesterday. But let's take a time out. Let's talk with our guest, Chris Parker from the Ozone.
And a special guest coming up on the starting lineup. Please stay right where you are. It's great having you with us on the starting lineup, and welcome back. Starting lineup's brought to you by Play It Again Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, and by Marshfield Chevrolet. I'm Ned Reynolds, along with
Scott Purrier.
And a special guest.
Special guest on the line with us is our Monday guest at 7:30s during the school year, talking all things local sports, especially on the high school side. We welcome in Mr. Chris Parker. Parker, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
I probably ought to put some headphones on so I can hear you here. That would help too. You seem so excited to see us this morning, Parker. We got to get you more pumped about this segment every week. I mean, I would envision you get up at 6 o'clock and you tell your wife, "Hey, I'm on with Scott and Ned at 7:30," and you just cannot wait till that moment. Is that the case or not?
Well, Scott, we are into the first Monday of school. My daughter's being back in school, so I've been used to sleeping until 8:30. So
yeah.
Earlier side here.
I'm going through that at the house too. My wife's first day back at Nixa. She's really excited about it too. So, well, jamborees this week. You said, I believe, 14 of them in our area. Is that correct?
Yeah, 14 local ones. I think we should have cameras at 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range, and going to get some video, get some photos, and get out there. We're going to get after it and starting this week, and then, I'll full go next week.
If you are a high school football fan with no allegiances, what are the one or two that you would recommend to go see some really good teams participate in the Jamboree?
Everybody likes the typical Kickapoo Nixa Ozark one. They're playing that at Ozark this year. I kind of like the Fairgrove one. It starts at 6, and that's Fairgrove, Glendale, Marshfield, Pierce City. Fairgrove, Marshfield, some new coaches. Glendale has a lot of offensive firepower, and Pierce City's got quite a bit back too as one of the small school teams. So that one's kind of fun. As I'm looking around at them, if you're down in the Joplin area, you got two to choose from there. But if you're down at Webb City, you've got Webb City, Joplin, Lamar, and Seneca. So that's a real quality one as well.
They don't invite Carthage to that one, do they?
Carthage hosts their own with Carl, Neosho, and Nevada.
There you go. Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, too. I know the coverage area that we have here does not really include Joplin as such, but that one that they have down in, and they alternate between Webb City, and sometimes they have it over in Lamar as well. But that is really huge, and we heard two of the coaches talking about that the other day, Scott.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, Parker, I wanted to ask you, we didn't touch about it last week when we were talking COC, but Ray Godfrey steps in on an interim basis at Ozark as the head coach this fall. One of the true good guys out there, very likable. What's Ozark looking at this year in a tough COC?
It's a tough situation, quick turnaround for him to step in there, but he was kind of familiar with the players already. And really, they've got back Jet Easley is really good. They're going to have a new quarterback, but Jet Easley, it looks like he's going to maybe switch from running the ball more to catching the ball more, so he could have 1,000-yard rushing last year and 1,000-yard receiving this year. But yeah, they've got some good pieces back, and Jet Easley is a really, really solid player, really good place for them to start.
Very good. Talking smaller conferences this week for previews. Let's start with the Ozark Mountain Conference, a.k.a. former COC members go form their own league conference there. In a large part of that, but who do you like there, and what do you see?
West Plains has been up there at the top for several years, and Branson's since they've moved over. Branson's got a good amount back, and West Plains has to replace quite a bit of offensive firepower. But at this point, you trust the program to replace it. I mean, Steve Airy really got them turned around and going a little over a decade ago. But since then, they've had Steve Airy, Matt Perkins, Joel Wyatt, and now Coach Carnegie. And they just, no matter who's there coaching, that program is running. So I'd expect them still to be there. Logan Rogersville, and they seem like they've been winning and everything. They've got Gage Hale, who is the all-state champion track guy, sprinter, but also a 1,000-yard receiver. And Joe Roche is back in the backfield, a 1,600-yard back. They have a quarterback competition going on there. So I expect good things out of them. Marshfield, Coach Nate Thomas is moving back over there after about a decade or so, 9 years, 10 years at Kickapoo. And I believe they're bringing that flexbone offense up there to Marshfield. So, that's always tough to defend once teams learn how to run it really well.
You mentioned Logan Rogersville. This will be Joe Wells' second year out there. Has that made a big difference in your opinion?
They know his expectations. But I mean, he walked right in last year and they had a lot of success, the most success that they've had in several years. They were 8-3, most wins for the program since 2011 when they won that state title. Dylan Cole was on that team. So they seem to take to him pretty well. The big question for them is who's going to play quarterback. They have Casimir Manzuk, who transferred. He was there as a freshman, went to Cardinal Ritter, now he's back. And then Holstein, senior quarterback that they have, Hayden Holstein. So who's going to be the quarterback there, throwing the ball out to all these weapons. But when you have a guy like Joe Roche with 1,600 yards in the backfield, it's going to make things a lot easier on you.
How will things be out on the hill for Hillcrest?
They're replacing quite a bit of talent from last year. Coach Gans, I think, has got things moving in a good direction up there. But they're still trying to build and get a little bit more experience within the pipeline.
Mid-Lakes Conference, could this be a special year for Springfield Catholic? They took a big leap last year.
I think both Catholic and Clever, two teams who might have surprised some people last year, they both bring a ton back this year. And I think those two are two to really watch. Fairgrove's got a new head coach in Josh Evans, who he came over from Buffalo as a coordinator, but he was on Marionville's staff the years they were winning state titles. So be interested to see kind of how they look and what they're going to bring as well. In Stratford, with Coach Tim Hester there, he's always got them ready to go.
Wanted to ask you, the state polls don't come out till after the season starts, but who are our threats locally for state championships this year? We kind of have an idea every year. We knew with Jackson Cantwell, with the talent that Nixa had back, they were going to be a force in Class 6 last year. Take us kind of through 1 through 6 and who you think could be there in the end, or at least I know it's way early, but just teams that look like on paper that they could be have a chance to go win a state title, or at least compete for.
Yeah, you start down in Class 1, and that's the big question because right now in Class 1, you go out to the SCA and look at Thayer, who was right there, gave state champion Tipton, only one to play within 2 scores their entire state run. But Thayer walks that line between Class 1 and 2. They were Class 1 last year, but 2 years ago they were Class 2. But for them, they returned 4 all-conference offensive linemen and 2 running backs who had over 700 yards rushing. And so when you got that kind of talent coming back, especially on the offensive line, when you want to control it like that, you got to like them. Lamar has a bunch back, their numbers are back up, and they've got 3 returning 3-year starters on offense, including Taryn Williams, the all-state selection. So Lamar fell to Liberty last year, but Liberty graduated a decent amount. They do return Reed Toon, probably one of the better defenders in Class 2, 2-time All-Stater there at linebacker, and Graham Toon, the quarterback, who threw for 1,500 yards as a freshman last year.
Wow.
If you remember, they started the season with his older brother Parker Toon, with a lot of Toons here, with Parker Toon as quarterback, and they moved Graham in, and that's when they really took off. Class 3, you got to, even though Seneca graduated 9 all-state players, you got to start there. With everything that they've done lately, I love what they have in Mountain Grove, who they played in the playoffs. They lose their quarterback, but they bring back 2 1,000-yard rushers, and they bring back a lineman, Malachi Williams, that Coach Schwafford was talking to him on the phone for their preseason preview, and he thinks Malachi Williams, who, mind you, was the lineman of the year in the SCA as a sophomore, which is a high praise from those coaches. Coach Swafford thinks that he could be a Division I style player. Then as you move up to Class 4, that one's always the most wide open class. And so I'm probably looking, West Plains is always right there. Logan Rogersville, who we've kind of touched on, but Monette, Ben Mock out there. If you remember when Mike Mock was coaching Glendale, the year they really took off was the year they had a third year starting quarterback, and they made it to the state quarterfinals. And with I believe it was Alex Houston who was. This year they've got a third year starting quarterback in Dylan Washik and his top receiver back in the third year of the system, so they could be poised to take off really well there. And then Class 5 traditional powers we kind of talked about last week: Carthage, Webb City, Republic. And then Nixa still looks to be our local class of Class 6. Is
Logan Rogers one of those schools that you think are on the fringe of the classification bubble there, which way they go?
I think they're pretty solidly Class 4 still.
Okay.
If I remember looking at it, it's going to take a bit for them to move up, because you got to remember, even Republic is still Class 5, so there's a bit of a drop there. I think Logan Rogers was pretty solidly there.
Could Republic go to 6 maybe this year?
I don't think so. I think that one's pretty set. And a lot of it depends on the multiplier with the private schools on who's going up and who's going down, because that does extra displacement to schools that you can't just look at the enrollment and count, because if a team moves up to Class 6, that pushes a Class 6 team down to Class 5. So that's the other X factor here, is how the multiplier ends up.
Chris, and unless I missed it, you didn't mention Lebanon at all. Where do they figure into the mix?
Lebanon has a lot of. They're going to be relatively young this year, but their quarterback Beckett York is a Mizzou commit for baseball, and so anytime you got an athlete like that running that kind of offense, you're going to have a chance. And Coach Christian always has them ready to go. It's a little like what Coach John Perry was saying at Nixa, that you want to be replacing kids, because that means you got seniors starting. So Lebanon's got a lot of kids who have been waiting, finally getting their chance.
And we kind of forgot about them with the league changes and everything else. But what's going on up at Camdenton? Are they back? Or are they where do they? First of all, refresh us on their conference situation and what's coming up for that.
Well, they have a new head coach, Cole Walker, and he's an alum of the program. They're going back to, I think they're looking to run the ball a lot more, bringing back the Pappy's Hogs brand of football. They're up in the CMAC. It was all those Columbia schools, Rockbridge, Hickman, and then Cap City, Jeff City. But this is the last year for them. Next year, the Ozark Conference is reborn with Lebanon, Camden, Waynesville, Raleigh, Central, Parkview. I think I hit them all there. With the 6 teams that'll be reborn into that new conference, or reborn conference.
Year in, year out, the Big 8, one of the better conferences. Of course, Seneca and Lamar in that. Is it those two again in that league, and maybe Monette as well?
Yeah, I like Lamar with what they have coming back in the bigger numbers. They had a smaller than average senior class last year, and it sounds like those numbers have popped back up. And even in a down year for Lamar, it still was a quarterfinal game. So you still like them. Like I said, Seneca's got to replace 9 all-state players, but there's a lot of guys who learned from the Brody Proberts and the Roman Millers and are ready to make their impact. Cassville, they had a really good finish to last season. They do graduate their all-state player in Colton Roark, but again, there's a lot of parity going on in there. East Newton's got a new head coach in Jacob LaSalle, Jamie LaSalle's son. Jacob LaSalle started at Marionville about a decade ago. And so, there's in the McDonald County with Kellen Hoover. Again, there's a lot to replace there, but he's really got a good program working there. So, but if you ask me to say, Lamar, Seneca, the usual suspects are right there.
Chris, you mentioned earlier that last year Lamar fell to Liberty in their district championship game. That was a really good game. Can you recall that for us? How it ended?
Yeah, it was a great game down there, and it was the Liberty versus Lamar has been going on my entire time since I've been here. It started way back when Darren Acklin was the coach, and Jalen Acklin, who ended up playing, being a record-setting receiver at Western Illinois and playing in the Canadian Football League. He's now the offensive coordinator at West Plains, actually. They played those close matches, and it was always, Jansen, Jalen, Jarris against Lamar and the Acklins, and then finally last year with Jarris Acklin as the head coach and the three Toon brothers. They got that win, got it home, and then fell the next week to Blair Oaks. But it was a pretty incredible game, pretty big win for that program for sure. And yeah, out in the SCA, you can't overlook the three I mentioned there with Mountain Grove, Liberty, and Thayer potentially being in three different classes there. I mean, you look at those three, and they were three state quarterfinal teams, all from the SCA.
You mentioned where's the young LaSalle now, head coach?
East Newton,
because Jamie LaSalle is Jim LaSalle's son, I believe. That was Miller coach back when I was covering. How many coaches, I wonder, have had grandpa, dad, and son? Three different generations of head coaches in the Ozarks. That'd be a great Ozone feature, wouldn't it, Chris Parker?
Yes, something we should look into. Because story. And another coaching change. Brad Hawker's back at Diamond.
Okay.
So he's back there where he started his coaching career a while ago, and back there as the head coach trying to bring that program up.
Very good. Any independents out there? Are there still independents or not?
There are. Parkview is an independent.
Okay.
And they've got a new head coach,
Derek Daniels.
Yeah, Derek Daniels.
Yeah.
And so they play the independent schedule, and I think that might be our only independent still. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention 8-man Clay Lassiter and Lockwood out there. They were the state quarterfinalists for probably the second best, third best team in the state last year. And they bring a ton back. Sean Contreras, the state champion, a hurdler, will be playing both ways for them out there for Lockwood and 8-man.
One quick one, Chris. I know they're not Misha, and I don't know how much you cover them, but Lighthouse Christian plays some of those teams. I think they play Catholic in the opener, if I'm not mistaken. What do you know about them?
I do not know much about them. I am planning to see them they're going to play the Catholic Jamboree as well, from what I understand. So, but otherwise, I'm not familiar with them very much this year.
Very good.
Very good. Parker, always appreciate you. And next week, let's talk some first week matchups, and then maybe some of the other sports getting underway in the fall as well. I know your previews have started flowing, haven't they, for volleyball and soccer and everything else?
Yep, I've got a lot more writing to do, but we're probably around 130, 140 total previews. We'll end up a little over 200 team-by-team stuff. So still about 60, 70 more to go, but we'll get them up as quickly as we can. Very good. Great stuff on the Ozone. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks, guys. You bet.
Chris Parker, Ozone Sports out of KY3, visiting with us. Back in a second. And we will have, as we're in the stretch run, a big second segment coming up. Yeah, we're going to go over our top stories for the weekend with Art Haynes coming on with us here in about 4 minutes. Second hour kicking off that way. And then Scott Nasby going to join us, the Drury baseball coach, at the bottom of the hour. Naz and his family took a trip to the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica, and just kind of want to get his thoughts on the baseball culture over there as the head Drury baseball coach. I don't think it was a recruiting trip, but hey, you never know what he might have found over there. When you say the baseball culture, you're talking about the Dominican Republic, yes. Of course. They have all these academies down there, and don't know whether or not every major league team has one, but I do know the Cardinals have one, and Washington Nationals apparently have. They do, yeah. Matt Borgschulte is the hitting coach for the Washington Nationals, who's doing a tremendous job. I think they're leading the NL in total offense, but I think that got Naz some access down there to the Nationals facility, so we'll talk to him about that. So in the meantime, we will take our mid-show timeout here on the starting lineup. Brief break and then much more coming up. Please, folks, stay right where you are.